is David Harris. His total votes were 341 total votes out of the votes being cast. David? Okay, David, of course, with his total amount of votes, he is elected to serve a 3-year term, if he chooses so to accept.
Put the voucher. That's it. Your
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Touch it. Okay.
All right. Next up, with the second amount of votes, Michael Bizzari. His total was 339 votes. Michael also is eligible to serve the 3-year term if he chooses to do so. Okay. Next in line, third amount of votes, most votes, Frank DeVito. Frank has a total of 338 votes. And he as well is eligible to serve the 3-year term if he chooses to do so. Next up, the fourth person with the amount of votes was Patricia Spross. Had a total of 327 votes. Okay? And with that, she is eligible to serve a 1-year term within the board if she chooses to do so. The last person elected to serve on the board is Shuri Kubis. Shuri had a total of 315 votes casted for her, and she is eligible to serve the 1-year term if she chooses to do so. Okay. Finishing up with the persons not elected was Michael Wilczek, with a total of 254 votes. Bear in mind, going forward this year, if for whatever reason we have a board member that resigns, according to the bylaws, Michael Wilczek will be in line for the first to be asked to fulfill that position, if that should occur within this year. William Dorner, okay, with 245 votes casted for him. And the 8th person with the votes was Elias Sadeh with 174 total votes casted for him. Okay, with that, here's your new board of directors going forward for 25.
Andy, question.
Oh, yes.
If a person leaves on the board, does the person who's filling it get a 1-year or a 3-year position?
That person serves for the period of time left in the first year until the next election period.
Okay.
In other words, till next August.
Yeah.
Whatever the remainder of that year. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will now need our motion to disband the election committee. Someone want to first? So moved. Treasurer Brown. All right, so Treasurer Sprouse first. And who seconded? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any nays? All right, all in favor, that motion is passed. Thank you, Andy, for your support and service. This has been a tough one. All right, I'll turn it over to the manager to manage officers.
Good morning, everybody, and congratulations to the new board members. Welcome aboard. It'll be a lively year. At this time, I'd like to open a motion for board board chair.
I'll make the motion for Wade, board chair.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
My second. Okay.
I need a nomination, please.
I'm interested in, I nominate Frank to be the.
I'll like to second that. I'll second that.
Any other nominations?
Any other nominations for board chair? Discussion? And I guess at this point we'll have the vote. Mr. Kraus?
Vote for Wade.
Wait.
Reed? Anderson? Sherry?
Wade.
Frank Costello?
Wade.
Wade. And that should be a 5 to 3? 6 to 3, I'm sorry. 6 to 3, Lee. Congratulations, board chair. I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Now you got it in the middle, Wade.
Sorry about that.
Well, thank you, everybody. It's an honor.
Move the mic closer to you.
Thank you, everybody, for everybody on the board for bearing with us. This whole evolution was quite an evolution. And last night, thank you for those who were here, staying till midnight working these things out. So thank you. I'm going to move right into this so we can move in. So we're going to move into the committee reports. No, it's we have oh, we got to keep the, what am I thinking? We got everybody else to go. So the next nomination for officer is the vice chair. And do we have any nominations and directors for vice chair?
The nominate David Harris.
Okay.
I'll nominate Frank to be the second.
Okay, so Frank. So he declined, so there's only one candidate that's in one. Any others? For vice chair? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, so we have a vice chair. Now we're going to move to the treasurer. Do we have any nominations for treasurer?
I nominate Joanne.
Do we have a nomination? Do we have a second?
Second.
And do we those seconds? Any discussion? And none nominations? Okay. No other nominations, all in favor?
Aye.
Any
No.
Abstain?
No.
No. So it's a motion passed. You abstain? Okay. Motion passes. And Joanne, you're treasurer again. Continuation. Assistant treasurer. Nomination for assistant treasurer. That's
I'll
fine.
second.
Okay. Any other nominations? No other nominations. All in favor? Or you got a second on that, right? So all in favor?
I second.
Aye. Unanimous. Now we're going to go to secretary. Any nominations for secretary?
Oh, Sherry.
Unless, Mike, do you want to be secretary? You weren't here to defend yourself last time.
Sure. Sherry Cooper, secretary. Okay. Any other nominations? No other nominations. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Congratulations again for assistant secretary.
Tom Brady, I'll nominate Tom. I'll second.
Tribute.
Any other?
Any other?
Nominations?
Tribute. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. You got taking notes? And that's it. I think that concludes the officers. Do we have a new, so the other thing, we need to make sure that the four-member officers, that we need to make sure we sign all the documentation necessary for signatory. For signing the check, we gotta get that done in the next few days.
Did you sign on this?
So those are, paperwork to do with the office, the chair, the vice chair, the
Treasurer.
treasurer, and the assistant treasurer.
So we'll do that. So we turn, so the code of conduct, according to bylaw, so posted on, and affidavits, no financial interest in the village, all those have to be signed. This is good for the next 24 to 48 hours, but it has to be done. Okay. So we'll go now, I think we covered everything on that one. Any questions? So we'll move down into the committee reports.
I think we should probably do, your chair's comments.
Chair's comments, treasurer's report. I do not.
Okay, well, this is my first treasurer report. And I'm trying a new format. Actually, what you have back is missing a couple pieces because it's my first go around, and the charts that we vetted are missing in this report. So typically, the treasurer would get up and there's like a standardized format, and you would get year-to-date to year-to-date with a percentage. Then where we're at income-wise from the bank account perspective, which didn't really make sense. And then you would hear about delinquencies. I can't report on delinquencies this month. I did get a report. I don't understand all the data behind it, so I don't feel comfortable reporting out on something where I don't understand the numbers. So I'll report out on that next month. I really do want to hear from the community what you want to hear in the treasurer report, and more like, I want to try to give you more of like what the financial health is, what we're in status on the financials are, and where we're going, maybe from budgeting or planning perspective, rather than just read out percentages. So what you have is just a Word document like this, and I'm going to call out like 2 line items you might be interested in. It did have a chart we embedded on the back somehow, and I was trying to get ready. It's not there. But what it is would be a July to July comparison, and you can look on Town Square for last year's July, and I'll post for this year's July financial data after we leave the meeting. But if you had that data, you would see that as of July 2025 compared to July 2024, we're pretty much on target. We were 89.33% of our income this year to 89.59% last year. So that would look good, but maybe we would come in on target. However, we have 2 income lines where we're probably not going to hit the target. We're not going to come in with the projected budget number. It's going to be less. So those are the 2 areas I was going to focus on today. And one is recreation. So we hear a lot of recreation has to bring in $60,000. Well, the line item for income for recreation is based on history. And last year, we had a really robust, consistent recreation program, and it brought in $65,000 in income. We're not going to be able to hit that number this year. First of all, we've had staffing challenges, and we haven't been able to deliver a consistent program like we did the year before. So if you look at the first line on this chart, it shows you as of July, we brought in $18,487 in recreation income. Like I said, the target was 60, that was based on last year's numbers. So you look at that, we have a shortage of $41,000. We don't expect recreation to bring in $41,000 from now to the end of the year. That would be impossible, okay? This was a target based on history and a different program. We'll probably bring in about $25,000. The next big month we have is September, and then after that, we just have not as many consistent as frequent expenses we did with the summer. And this is just me making a guess. I'm guessing about 25. That leaves a shortage in income of $35,000. Again, we do not expect recreation to make that up. The number is based on what we think we're going to be able to deliver, not to make money. Last year, we targeted recreation at $79,000, and they came in at $65,000. So they didn't come in on our targeted number the year before either. So It's just special events expenses, so if you look at the total recreation budget, it includes salary and other items. But for the purposes of income, it's special events versus income, which is your food, your consumables, all the entertainment, all the things that all the expenses related to providing events for the village. Well, for a combination of paid and unpaid, not every event that you go to is paid. If it's food, or like a tie-dye or a paint and sip, you pay a fee. Other ones are free, the music on the beach and whatnot. So we're gonna have expenses related to rec that there's not gonna be a charge. So the income and the expenses are comparable to the extent that we're trying to turn a profit. Do you understand where I'm going with that? We have some expenses, yes, we have some income related to that, but the expectation isn't that recreation turns a profit. So where does that leave us? Well, we spent, $88,000 was allocated to recreation, last year for expenses, and they brought in $65,000 in income. So we had a deficit of $23,000. We spent 88, we brought in 65. This year, we've spent 33,792, and we brought in 18,000. So right now, we have a deficit of $15,000. So for the $35,000 where we will not bring the income in this year, what we will do is we will reduce expenses related to special events. Because we're not having as many events, because we're not turning out a consistent program, that savings can be made up within the expense allocation. So if you go to the last chart, we allocated $79,500 for special events. That's what we thought we would spend this year. Right now, we spent $33,000. We have $45,000 left. We're not going to go through this whole 45 because the program's winding down. So where we have the income deficit, we will probably make it up with savings in our expenditures. Does that make sense to everybody? Because we always hear that recreation wants to make money. Not true. We base it on history because we base it on what program we had before. It's the number that we try to target as a paid event, but we're not looking for a profit to be turned. Of course, if we're selling food or we have an event, an activity paid for, we want to at least break even, okay? But I want to kind of expel that myth, but I also want to tell you, no, we're not going to bring in that 60 grand this year. We're going to make it up by cutting back on some of our expenses. Any questions on that? All right, great. The other line item I have a concern with, also, so we're going to be evaluating data now on recreation. Pat has done a really good job now tracking what we spend on an event, what we bring in. And our last two events, we turned a small profit. I think it was the kid price, forget the exact number, 300 something, but we at least broke even, made money. And tie-dye t-shirt, she was able to turn out a profit. So the girls in the office, like Deidre and Kathleen, are teaching her how to do a profit and a little profit and loss. So we'll be able to track events moving forward. Hey, we're profitable or not. The other one was the STR income. Last year, we brought in $290,000 from STR's fees and registration. This year's budget has $317,000. There was a $27,000 increase. I don't know if I'm going to even hit the $290,000. We're certainly not going to hit $317,000. There's a variety of factors. STR fees registration fee was lowered from $800 to $600, and some fees we paid for individually were rolled into this $35 fee that's attached to a registration for each rental. On top of that, we implemented a virtual registration policy to try to reduce staff work and supplies. Year to date, we brought in $206,000 all in from STRs. It's hard to gauge a projection. We're trying to figure out where we'll end for the rest of the year, and we don't know the reason. It could be data shows STRs are down. We have to look at the picture comprehensively. How many people rented over the last few years compared to where we are now? Is it we have less? Is it related to fees? Is it related to outstanding this $35 fee? I don't know yet. But what I do know is we're not going to come in at 317. It would be impossible. I don't know what it is at 290. So we will have a shortage in the STR income line. What does that mean for you? Well, we're going to try to come in on budget this year. That's the goal. All of the departments have asked me to look at efficiencies and cost savings to see if we can make up some shortages and then we don't over deliver. They've done a really great job Kathleen and Deidre have started working with each department head. I know that they went through admin, and I think recreation might be next. And in sitting with administration, Kathleen, Deidre, and Jen have found over $17,000 in efficiencies this year. It could be a combination of like salaries that were under-delivered or benefits, but it also could, and I don't know, all your line items, they took a close look and said, where can I save to come in this year to cover some of the shortages? So we're doing a really good job with that, so I expect that the budget comes in, without any significant over or under deliveries. Okay, well, I would like your feedback, because as a resident, there's going to be two things that I was interested in. I don't know what you're interested in, so if you have ideas on the report and you want to either catch me after the meeting or come down, or email me, or there's some item that you would like to discuss, and you can let me know, I can develop my reports for you moving forward to target what your interests are and kind of give you an overall picture of where we're at. That's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
Couple of questions. Is there any reason that the STR registration was lowered from 800 to 600? I'm just curious why it was.
As the previous STR liaison, I can talk about that one, and I'll have Finance Committee also talk about it. Last year, so going into December of 2023, or 2024 into 2025, there's conversations of trying to streamline the process so that we weren't causing so much extra work on the staff. Sorry, I'm not getting feedback. We had a process where they were writing out every single individual wristband for every single renter. That's an immense amount of salary and time and work support. So they wanted to go to a different process where we wouldn't have to spend so much money on supplies, a wristband for every single renter, and employee hours to write them all out. We went to a similar process to these types of bracelets that are green, they're specific to renters. As part of that, we decided also, instead of having an a la carte fee, I think it used to be $5 per parking pass, or an extra $9, I think it was, for a wristband above what the house had allotted for, in that sense. So it was very calculated, I can go down to the specifics from that perspective. So they wanted to go to one standardized fee for every single rental registration that occurred. To come up with what that fee should be, the finance cost, that wasn't the STR committee or group that came up with those numbers, that was the finance committee that did it. They took all income, similar to what Joanne had talked about, all the parking pass income, all of the wristband individual pieces. I think there was fishing passes, there was anything that was sort of a la carte paid for. Did that by the total number of registrations we've had in the previous, these numbers for 2 years in a row. That came down to, if we move it to the 35 standard for every rental registration, and you have the $600 one-time fee, you're moving the money to be slightly more related to when the registrations come in, keeping that intact with, we can't charge more than what we actually expend them on, so we're moving to that phase. The finance committee is the one who said, if you do 35 and 600, it should equal, in theory, if everything was the same as the last year. We know this is a very big transition, it's a very different way of doing things, so the goal was always like, let's start here. I think it was actually high, because originally it was $25 per registration, and we went with a higher version of 35 just to be safe and be conservative, is what I remember right, Tom, in that sense.
Well, it seems like there's less STR, which is myself as a homeowner who never rented his place, I'm happy about it, but regardless. A couple of very quick questions. Any way we can have the budget versus expenditure at the end of 3 quarters to see where we are?
Yeah, and that usually is posted on Town Square, and we usually hand it out, don't we? There's no.
Each of the monthly financials has the full year budget.
Okay.
It has the month, and then it has the year to date,
Yeah.
and then the detailed packet has the year-over-year comparisons.
And usually you would pick it up in the back, but it's my first day on the job, so, right.
All right, thank you. Good luck, thank you.
Yeah.
When do you start the budget talks, and when is the report gonna go out prior to passing the budget? Because I know that they do like a whole meeting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
For that, okay.
So we did start the pre-budget process, we were being a team, and Tom was gonna tee up the budgets and.
So to answer your question, historically, we always do the Saturday the Saturdays in September into October and split out the departments. So Joanne in the treasurer role has already, from the last finance committee meeting, we had a subcommittee form from the finance committee to start the budget talk preparation and the process. So they've had a few meetings thus far, and they're working, as Joanne said, working with the staff to give them the ideas of what's expected of the staff when it comes full budget season. And from the pre-meetings they've had, laying out the groundwork of this is what you're going to submit based on what, zero-based budgeting and what you need, not just a wish list. And we still haven't finalized the exact dates and departments, but to answer your questions, it's usually several meetings in September, and we'll do like administration at one meeting, recreation department another meeting, and the finance committee and the treasurer will roll in to have, the pre-meetings come in to do the presentation, and then if we need a second presentation from the department heads so we can pull it all together.
Yeah. So we have started, we have a pre-budget team. It consists of myself, Terry Rizzero, Bob Razak, and Stacy Mo. We had an initial meeting with the office, which was like letting them drive, telling us now, hey, what's your typical process? What is it that you think, would be a reasonable timeline? What would you like to see better, improvements, this, that, where we can get cost efficiencies, and it really knocked it out of the park, coming up with some really great and innovative ideas, okay? How we're starting the budget process is to remain static. So we're going into 2026 with the same numbers that we have for 2025, as if we're going to live within that budget, okay, this year's budget. We don't go in with an increase right away. We say, okay, here's our budget, here's where we're going next year. Can we deliver the same program to you with the same dollars? Is there efficiencies we can achieve? We don't know that yet. But what we don't want to go in was just an increase and say, okay, automatic 1%, give us what you want. We want to kind of take a comprehensive and holistic look at the entire process. I'm brand new, I've looked at the budget for 7 years. This is the first time I get to drive, and I have a team of people who've never really been involved in the budget process, so the ideas are really innovative. On top of that, the office is really coming up with some ways to consolidate and create more efficiencies. For example, we have 4 credit card providers, I guess we call it POS, but they all charge different fees, and the credit card payments come in all different ways, and it creates confusion and inefficiencies. And they've gotten together and said, hey, which one will work for all of us? Which one works for, up here, serving food at the chalet, for the office, for town square, and they're gonna make a recommendation, and that will create some efficiencies in the fees that we pay the provider, how the office processes payments, and they've come up with several other ideas that we're evaluating. As far as the STR fees go, both the office, Deidre, and Kathleen are evaluating this year's process, because that $35 fee is new and it's not known, as well as Terry and Bob are looking at it as a spin-off of the budget team to say, we need to really look at the entire data set, where do we want to be this year, where do we want to be next year. And if anybody has any ideas, feel free to let me know what they are. If you have an idea on how you would like the budget process improved, we certainly are open to it. When you get the budget this year, I'm going to attempt to give you a list of projects that we're funding, because that's what we're supposed to do as far as our financial policies. You will get a list of reserve and capital projects that we plan to work on this year. Will it be 100% accurate? No, because this is our baseline year. But I'm going to do my best to identify which projects get teed up, which are priority, and the board will have input on which ones rise to the top. So you will get a list of what our proposed projects are. In advance, we won't be, doing one-offs with the understanding that things might change, right? If the roof falls off the chalet, that project's going to replace another project. That's our process this year, and we want to give you time to evaluate that and give you feedback.
Question. A lot of homeowners who don't rent feel like they're subsidizing the homeowners who are STR owners, and they don't think that they don't think that's fair, and the expenses incurred through renters are not accurately kept up to date.
So to your point, I don't have the answers. This right now, what we just talked about, we need an evaluation. So fees have been set and collected, and we've used historical data, which just means we used historical data. It doesn't mean the methodology behind it was the best methodology or policy. I also can't say that about this year, but it could very well end up being an amazing policy. I don't know. To your point, the two people on my team, Terry and Bob, have considered that. So we have a short-term goal and a long-term goal for SDR fees. The short-term goal is take a look at this year, this process was new, and try to come up with what we feel is a fair fee, whatever that turns out to be, I don't know yet, based on the data that we have this year and will be presented. And then their long-term goal is that they came up with on their own, so they want to be able to calculate next year staff costs and indirect costs related to SDR. Terry, did I cover it, or do you want to say what you're about want to go for 2027? They do want to calculate that.
Yeah, once we're able to, we haven't gotten all the information. Once we get it, we're going to get a good number because we don't think it's enough. Because the office work that's incurred is a lot of money, it seems. And the rules changed. I don't think most people know that. In May, if you rented your property, they cut the state, was it, or the township?
It's federal.
Federal?
Yeah, it is federal.
Eliminated that you can't charge all these fees to a person renting the property. So the village is not making that money that they counted on, and that's part of the budget.
That's not true. The federal.
You see how I-
Is it Nick?
There's a button on the front, at the front of my
Yeah.
page, there's a button, just push it down.
All right, blind me.
So it was a federal sales,
Yeah.
there's a federal, and I'm going to screw up the name of the federal law, but it's a federal law on all sales. So no sale can occur without all fees being transparently put up front from whoever's buying it. So now it can't be that if someone is renting their home, they say it's $600 a night, and then there's the fees afterwards, because often you'd have like $96 worth of fees or something of that nature. Therefore, it has to all be upfront on Airbnb. It can't go to the renter. The fastest way for us to change this, because I think there's about a 2-week, Kathy, I'm looking to you, because I know you were part of some of the conversations, like a 2-week notice of this law change and then how to navigate it. We took it away from the renter paying it at the point of sale when they register to now it's charged to the owner. So it never went away. It didn't change in any way, shape, or form. We just shifted who pays it. So now it's not the renter paying it, it's the owner paying it. It is now not a point of sale credit card charge. It's a credit card the same day they register. It's now a fee applied to the owner's account, which then there was a discovery of like, oh, when do they pay it? So now the cash isn't showing up the same day as the registration via credit card charge. It might show up 10 days later, 15 days later, 30 days later when they pay off that account. So that it's more of a lag in the cash hitting. than
But the
it's-
problem also is that the bookkeeper has to enter or bill every single STR $35 for every single rental.
Yes, it did.
And
make a
it's
lot of-
very time consuming.
Yeah, it did make a lot more for our accounting team. with that
Yes,
transition.
so it's costing us more.
Yeah, in now employee spaces, but that was new and that was not anticipated when the original 35 was
Right,
enacted.
that's what I'm saying. It's affecting the whole
So now
budget.
it's a new consideration to the total cost because where we thought we were minimizing the amount of hourly employee impact by May federally, they changed the rules on us and now we have to do that.
So we don't calculate direct and indirect costs at all on any of our methodologies or evaluation, and you should. Again, we just got this budget. We have to turn it out by November. Everything we present to you, we will try to have a methodology in math, because I love math, and most people do it. You can tie it back to numbers and we'll record it. Next year, the same team will stay together a little bit, they said that they have to go past November, and they will take it a step further by trying to connect direct and indirect costs to some of those programs that we have. And SDR is one of them, but in fairness, there's other, we could start tying this to other costs that we have related to administration of the village. There's long-term rentals. We have guest wristbands. So once we get good methodology, then we can use that to try to project direct and indirect costs for a lot of the programs. But to your point, correct, it's not calculated. So we hazard a guess. There are some other staff work associated. To Sherry's point, we moved to a virtual process. Last year, we spent a lot of money on supplies and printing and whatnot, and that's significantly reduced. However, now we're recording this $35 fee, so there's like trade-offs. So we're trying to look at it, it's like a 2-year approach, but to your point, we're going to do our best.
Very good.
And also, the point of sale is actually going to be some of the new business today. We're going to change the policy. I'm sort of remind everybody that the members' comments, we do have it on the agenda. We do have it at the end of the meeting. I'm entertaining all this right now just because we're addressing, but moving forward, I would ask for member comments. It's a really important record in it. We put it in. And that way, and also I want to point out that we have allocation of time for each topic, and we're a little at 5 minutes, is what we try to stick to in order to we can all get to have a nice week. So, all right, so let's try and all of the following committee reports when we get to that. And you too. Yes. All right, manager's report. You can have it.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the new board. Looking forward to working with everybody. In essence of time, my manager report before report is on the back table. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to field them after. But I'm just going to go through some of the highlights. So again, welcome to the new board. We're here. It's already Labor Day weekend. Feels like it was just a moment day. Holiday trash. Labor Day weekend, we do expect a high volume of trash. We have emptied all the containers in advance, so we should be able to handle. But please be patient over at the compactor. The staff is working over the holiday weekend. We did have a ranger on our second shift recently resign. Kyle did have some resumes from the previous candidates that we're going to start looking at that poll immediately. We did have a assistant rec director also resigned recently for reasons that we can discuss later. Interim rec director Catherine has been doing a fantastic job. A big applause to Catherine for taking that on. I'd also like to acknowledge Carrie and Diane as the chairs for all the work they've done. We've instituted some changes to make communication better, so thank you, ladies, for all your work. Again, my hat's off to the entire rec. We've really had some robust meetings and some good turnout, so I hope to keep that going. Staff organization chart has been created for the board. We've created a cross-functional meeting that I was just alluding to. It includes the rec committee, admin, maintenance, security, bookkeeping, and the rec committee chairs. We meet right after the rec meeting to go over all of the topics coming up, events coming up, and we hope to broaden that out to a month to 2 months in advance, so we can communicate to all the staff where it's going to impact them. We've already covered short-term rentals, so I'm not going to get into that. Building repairs at the main building are almost complete. There's some fine detail stuff inside the building now. East and Pines Lake fence is still on the agenda for the boards. More importantly, which I know I get several phone calls for, the tar and chip project for Beaver and Martha's and Hillside Terrace is on the agenda. We're just waiting for our contractor to get back in. We were late to committing to him, so we're working in his schedule. My hat's off to the rec crew. If anybody, or the maintenance crew, if anybody's taking a ride around Beaver or Martha's, they were disaster zones. You lose your undercarriage to your vehicle, even a four-wheel drive truck. The guys have done an amazing job, and they've really addressed the drainage over there, so my hat's off to the maintenance crew for all the work. It was all done in-house to save money. Also, we have a couple of road repairs that are going to be paving projects that will be done. Farmers Lane and Martha's Lane going into the compact area. Those areas will be addressed. We're afraid we're going to lose those roads during the winter, so we'll address those real quick. And then we have beautification shed. Yes, somebody gets a D before she hangs me. We are getting a shed. It should be here in the next week to 2 weeks. The supplier just needs confirmation from the manufacturer. And that's going to be my report. Again, my full report is on the back table.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so committee reports. Got the Finance Committee, Tom Travi, 5 minutes.
5 clicks on the mic. Okay, thanks, Vic. Well, as we had referenced earlier, the Finance Committee will be working with the treasurer and the subcommittee to formulate next year's budget. In our finance policy, page 8 and 9, lay out the format of what we do. Once we start into August, the association manager meets with the department heads to go over preliminary assessments. Then that leads through the middle of August, and then we lay out by September 1st, the association manager will start to schedule departmental meetings. The finance committee and group will then meet with each of the 7 departments presenting, their budget presentations. It then comes together as a finance committee to get one cohesive report. We present that to the board by the October meeting. The board then meets and goes over it, and then we have a public presentation in early November to be prepped for the November board meeting for approval. So that's the layout of the timeline. The last couple months was summer months. There were so many people out on vacation. The finance committee hasn't met, but basically behind the scenes, there's been all the prep for the important part for next year's budget.
So when will be the next meeting?
Usually it's the second Saturday, but we'll coordinate a schedule and get it out. Starting the second Saturday of September, usually everybody will get it out.
All right. Security, Andy Gross.
There was no security committee meeting for this past month. Nothing else to report other than the report that is generated on a monthly basis, which everyone should have a copy of at this point in time.
Thank you. We made up some ground right there. Lakes and Wildlife would be Andy again.
Okay, here again, no meeting was held this past month as well. Nothing further to report.
Okay, another 5 minutes. CNT, we don't have any.
I'm from the CNT committee. There's been nothing assigned to the CNT committee over the last several months. There's no meetings.
What about Ms. Joe? Hey, Joe, we have building and grounds, 5 minutes.
Not much to report right now. I've been working with Rob, talking with Joanne Andrews and Tommy Andrews has been getting a lot of numbers together for me. I just thought, so we had a board, I'll hold off till I had anything concrete to report. But regarding the fence / stones, salt shed, we're close to having some more concrete information to report.
And they have been helping me as part of the budget process. I have to try to evaluate the reserve and the capital projects. And I don't know a lot of construction or blue collar work, I just know dollars. So I did meet with Building and Grounds and Joey, Tom, and Brian. Went over every project with me to, first of all, help me understand it, because I just read it out loud, I didn't know what I was reading. And to let me know if that was going to be critical, if it's something we could push out, and gave me the background, and some they still have to evaluate. Because in order for me to see our projects, I have to understand what the project is. Like, for example, it said, well, pump, and I needed to replace. Well, what does that mean? When do we have to evaluate, where should it be pushed out? So they were able to give me that advice, and then they're going to work with maintenance and Rob to further develop these projects. Because I'm not an expert in everything, just numbers.
So, thank you, Andy, and look forward to working with you again. Roads, did I say Andy? Joey Williams. So I'm gonna learn more names now. So thank you for working with us. Roads now, Andy. Andy's not here. Okay, who's gonna take that? You can do that.
Andy Corelli has been working with the roads committee. We've had a couple of phone calls and a Zoom meeting. There was a meeting to bring different individuals up to speed up with the road project. There's been several schedules and plans that have to be reevaluated and updated. So Andy's working with the team to bring that up to speed and to create the new project. There's a couple of road projects that the board will bring up in the meeting today. The Hillside Terrace, we can discuss that at that point. But Andy's been very involved, I was going to say deeply involved, but he's intricately involved in the planning of those right now.
Thank you. Recreation, Carrie.
Joanne, I want to thank you for that report, because I gave a similar report to the committee, in that we are never going to meet the 60, 70,000, that's impossible, but we did say too, we're not spending as much right now, so it kind of evens things out. We have a very busy season that is coming to an end. We have a very strong committee now. At least 15 people are coming out to our meetings and they are very vocal, have a lot of ideas, so that is very, very helpful. We are hindered by the lack of volunteers that are needed to hold events. And with that in mind, I think for the coming year, we have to really sit down and figure out which way events are going to go. We do not have the volunteers. This is one of the reasons why we did not have as many barbecues. And that was a very good source of income. We just can't get people out to help. And you can't do it without volunteers. So we have to look at that. There's a lot of things we have to look at. People seem to be enjoying the food trucks. However, we get no income from them. So that we're losing income by using food trucks, but we felt we needed to supply the members with something where they could get food. Tonight is trivia night. We hope for good attendance. It's Dennis Arms is doing one of his trivias. Fran is going to MC it. So we hope that we get a fairly good attendance. Labor Day weekend is all scheduled out. It's on Town Square, event by event. We're not going to do a picnic this year because, again, lack of volunteers. We can't do the barbecue and the picnic. We just can't get the people. So we are going to have food trucks at East Lake, I believe, starting at 4 or 5 o'clock. We're centering everything at East Lake for that Sunday because people can come gradually, park, and get ready for the fireworks. Previously, we had nothing at East Lake, and it was like whoosh. And there were traffic jams and all kinds of problems. And it seemed to work last year, so that's what we're going to do again this year. I believe we're trying to get 3 food trucks. The fireworks are all set. We're also going to try to sell ice cream. As I said, the full schedule is on Town Square, and I believe there is a flyer printed up with just Labor Day events. Again, Kat has been doing a great job. She inherited sort of a mess because we've just been in flux the whole time. And hopefully by September we can take a break, sit down and really figure out where do we want rec to go. So the up and coming events are the Oktoberfest. We did get the Umpa band again. There will be 2 free beers for everybody and Philadelphia soft pretzels. We're not going to go into big food and all that for that event. We didn't feel it was needed. We didn't have it before. We're going to set it up as a beer garden out at the Locust. Everybody can sit, have their beer, their pretzels, and listen to the Umpa band. We are going to try to get some things for the children to do. But again, this whole time we've been working behind. Next year, everything should be scheduled out way ahead of time. And events posted way ahead of time. The biggest thing that has taken on has been Cash Bingo. It is very popular. The prizes are very good. And we can't get any income from bingo. With the new license and all that, everything we take in either has to be given to a charity or given out. And giving it out has really been very good to people. Everybody is very, very happy with it. The biggest prize, end of the bingo prize was $421. So it goes by attendance. If we have really good attendance, the prizes are high.
I was there, and the first one I ever went to, and children were winning it, and their eyes were bigger than what basketball.
Yeah, some of the changes are you cannot bring alcohol, and children can play if they're accompanied by a parent. So that's a big change.
Did you say can or can't bring
You
alcohol?
can.
Can,
Yes.
can.
Can.
That's why it's so popular.
That's what I thought, but in watching everybody coming in and all, it hasn't made that much of a difference. It's a nice.
It's the money.
Yeah, but anyway, that has been a real biggie. So the coming events again, Oktoberfest, there will be a volunteer dinner, that is in the budget. The Oktoberfest is sort of in the budget. And as I said, cash bingo, this time we could really be making money, but we can't. Previously, we always went under, but word has gotten out about the prizes. So it's doing well,
Are
yes.
we allowed to sell like the supplies, like the rubber stampers and that?
We are, we do that, we set that now, so then we have two separate accounts. The one account is the money brought in just for bingo. And then we have candies, chips, soda, ice cream, dabbers, all that kind of stuff, and that's a separate account.
Okay.
So,
And you can cover your expenses, well, you can cover your expenses.
right, right,
Just can't make a profit.
right, you can't make any kind of a profit, which is a shame right now.
You'd have to pay it all out, like donate
Right.
to a charity, it's on the law, it's like giving.
Right, if we did it for a charity, we'd have to open a bank account,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of bookkeeping involved. This way, it just comes to us.
Yeah, but even though you don't make money, it's still happiness, just like.
Oh, it's everybody's,
And, you know, we just want to make everybody happy, you know, it's not satisfaction.
yeah, we have shortened it, we only do 10 games. We used to do 20, but now we do 10. And it seems to be working. We hope to continue it somewhat over the winter, maybe on Saturday nights, not every Saturday night, but maybe at least one Saturday night a month, and then have something else going on to take up another weekend. But people have really asked that we continue to go. Any questions? Yes.
Carrie, when is the Oktoberfest? What day?
October 12th, that Columbus Day weekend.
Is it a Saturday?
It's, the beer garden thing is on a Sunday, because most people have off Monday.
I
Well-
think it should be moved to Saturday,
Well,
you
we
get more
can't,
attendance.
well, we can't move it now because we got the band.
Yeah.
It has always been on a Sunday. But that is something we'll take note of for next year.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
So rules and, do we have any? Rules
No,
and-
nothing to report.
Nothing to
No,
report?
I have not had any.
Okay. And bylaw?
So the bylaw committee has come to an impasse, and here we need the lawyer to weigh in. So the way that the committee worked was, we had to look at the governing documents in their hierarchy. Covenant, declaration of covenant, articles of incorporation, bylaw. If you don't do it that way, when you start with the bylaw, you won't know what the other documents state, and it doesn't make any sense. When we went over the covenant, we have a lot of questions, okay? Our covenant, first of all, is very small. It's a Schedule A. Most communities have a very robust, detailed, multi-page declaration and covenant. We do not. According to our lawyer, LLB was established on a series of Schedule As. It still has to be researched. I have one. I have gotten another Schedule A from another member. When I give a full presentation after we get the lawyer's interpretation, maybe residents want to spend money to do a title search all the way back to when this place was developed to find out what was filed at the county level. I do not know. But we're working with the documents we have now and the documents I have been given. So as far as the covenant goes, it's the Schedule A that you got when you bought your home. And we went over each one of those items and we recorded whether we thought, oh, didn't need a clarification, it was okay. If there were some irregularities, because rules and regulations are in direct conflict with our covenant on some occasions, and that's why it's important to look at all of the documents, not just look at them as one-offs. So we have notated that for review by rules and regs, but also some of them do need a clarification by our lawyer. So there are some issues where we need a legal clarification. For example, if there was something in the covenant that talked about rentals and leases, we say, was that just under, when it was under declaratory control, when it was turned over, or how does it impact us moving forward? That is teed up for the board. It got pushed from this month till September because we had to seat all the new members, and we had a pretty robust meeting, and we want our attorney, Greg Velasquez, to be present to answer some of the questions. As far as the bylaws go, we started to do a review. We did a lot of research. I like to do research because of my IRS background, and we are covered under a bunch of titles. Title 68 under the Uniform Pennsylvania Condominium Act, but then we're a nonprofit and we're a corporation, so you have Title 15 and then you have another title. All those have to be melded together to say what your bylaws are. We are missing a lot of what's in those rules and regs. Some of them are standard and some of them are required. You heard our attorney say our bylaws, they're not that great. Why they haven't been evaluated beforehand, I don't know the answer. But I don't answer people unless I have the correct and the detailed information and a legal perspective. I'm not just going to answer you. We can go on and on about the 50 plus 1%, and I still will not answer you because we want that written from our lawyer in writing on what that actually means, recorded so that we can move forward. I believe there's probably a template. This is not that difficult. We shouldn't be spending a lot of attorney hours on it. We're not the first HOA in Pennsylvania. This is not the first thing I'm saying. Our PA rules and regs have been around a long time. I am sure that most places have a standardized template with what is required by law. Okay, if it's required and it's statutorial or a rule or regulation, we don't need the vote of the public. It means the law required it and it must be embedded in your bylaw. And then there's the discretionary that will have to go out for everyone. So we've developed our questions. I have a couple. On my team is Frank DeVito, Tom Travadia, Stephanie Serrano, and Mark Bernstein. And Mark is he's got a legal background. He was a judge. He actually developed the question that we need to ask the attorney, and it's really on point. I'll make a presentation to the board at our next workshop, and then we will have a discussion with our lawyer, both in writing and verbally. Once I get that answer, then I can tell you what our next step is, which is going to be, there are things that are going to have to be added to our bylaws. So for example, there's a process in the nonprofit law that calls for a budget ratification process, that calls for the budget to be mailed out 30 days before we vote on it. That's part of the nonprofit. But if I look at what's under the title for HOA, it's not as strict. However, there's a process for how we tee up reserve and capital projects. And then there's instances in the law that say mandatory. A lawyer has to put, or somebody with that background, all three of those sections together and then give us what is required, what is not our bylaws, that is required, what we have, and if that's sufficient, and then what's discretionary. So we should have something to you, maybe by October, I hope, but at least we'll give you an update. This will go on for the balance of next year while we work through it. We'll keep you informed, and then we want to get your input on the items that are discretionary and we need your vote.
Thank you, Joanne. One of the things that,
Somebody else has a question.
yes, one of the things that we actually have today, that we have election results that Andy recorded out, and you'll notice that even with all the, with 574 votes, we still are short of that 50% plus one. So that's a challenge right there.
So that right there, that's why I don't answer, because the law says total allocated votes, and then we talk about the 50 plus one. So I really want to get one clarification, because if we all answer, you're going to get all different definitions, because that's what happens, people, they're going to define it the way that they hear it. If we get it from our attorney in writing, then there's really only one way to define it. So I prefer just to give everything out writing.
Okay.
Did you have a question, Dave?
Yeah, it was, Manny?
A question on bylaws. If the attorney or decided to change anything in bylaws, does the board have to approve it, or does it come to all the owners for 51%?
It's both. we found in our review that if a regulatory change or a rule or a law changes and it's required, it doesn't need vote. You must, you know what I mean, implement that. So if there's anything missing in our bylaws that was deemed mandatory, then
So-
then we have to update that, and that would be, we don't need a member vote because we have to be in compliance with the law. But then there are items that are our discretion. For example, like number of days between candidate, the process for removing the board member votes. When we hold our annual meetings, those kind of things are discretionary and we will need vote. So it's, the answer is both.
Thanks.
Dave, do you have a question?
The board chairman will recognize Dee Casardo.
Thank you. My question regarding finance and also recreation, the concession stands pay a rent
Yes.
to Locust Lakes?
You know.
How much is it?
Well, I did not handle the lease, but I don't know if we have all that information. We can get back to it. Yeah, I wasn't treasurer.
The current lease is 500 for the year.
Do they pay electricity or utilities?
No.
Because they have a wonderful menu, but I'm sure the electric bill and everything else is higher. The $500, I don't think would cut it. So if you could please check into that with the budget, because if you intend to use them again next year, I think that there has to be some changes made.
So you're right, leases need to be reevaluated. I haven't seen the actual lease, Rob and I that will be something that we'll work on this year. But I want you to keep this in mind as a community. When we offer food service up here for you at the chalet, when we provide it ourselves, we're giving a discounted rate. There's a lot of indirect costs that go into that aren't passed on to you. Why? Because you're a member, we're providing a service to you, we're trying to keep, it's not like going to a restaurant. And that's the same straight across the board. While I don't disagree it should be reevaluated, what we don't want to do is make it difficult for a vendor or anybody to provide a service in here because, you know, it's not profitable. And a lot of it's about employee satisfaction. But to your point, like with everything else, Terry and Bob are working on with SDR, there's direct and indirect costs associated with every service we provide here. We don't know what they are, okay? So this is like baby steps, but we created a lot of happiness and satisfaction in the community just by having food at all the beaches. People have, you know, really responded well. But to your point, yes, everything has to be reevaluated.
Yeah, I mean, and also, do they have to carry electricity? Not electricity, but insurance
Yes.
to cover the
Yes.
building in case there's a fire?
Yes.
Because they do offer fat fried foods, and I
They
don't.
do have to, the policy they have to cover, you know. Okay, but they do have to cover, they have to cover the general liability insurance and has to be to a certain rate, and he has collected it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there's no Ansel system there, and it's like, where does the grease go? You know,
Yeah, well, that's
had
the
it-
same for every vendor that comes in here and contractor, they're supposed to provide us a certificate of insurance, and they're no different.
Well, there was because we had a vendor prior to the junction handling it, that covered the whole inside with grease, and cleaning it up was a royal mess.
I can say the same thing that happened up here too.
If you have this going on here, then, you know, that needs to be, you know, if you have to pay $500 to get it cleaned up after they're done, well, then you just lost money. So that needs to be reevaluated.
Yeah, indeed, actually, that $500 goes back to, I think, it was the same price in 2018. I think that's what.
Hey,
that's what
I don't
was.
set the fees,
So,
but I
no,
think that, you know,
we-
since everything else went up,
Yeah.
maybe you want to consider that too.
There was a reaction, look, we didn't, you know, I think they did, the two vendors actually they activated within 30 days and, you know, for both sites. So, you know, to bring the community, it's the first time in years that we've had some, you know, those shacks operate. Either it was the septics were down or just the vendor did, like Oak Junction 940. You know, they just walked away. So it's a good thing. I think it needs to be looked at as a group. The lease definitely has to be looked at. And the board will take that action as well. So for future. next year. Because we have other things that are misses there, like you said, insurance. There was one item that we did talk about that we have to evaluate is the area that they use and deconfliction. So thank you for your comment. I'm going to move on. Again, we're moving along, but a little slow now. So I'm going to try to hold out on that with STRs next.
Jenny.
Sorry, could you look at like upside?
Jenny Manuel is the STR from these, she's been texting me. All right, so first off, I put in here, the committee met this past month, they are investigating a new option. Really, they're working on ways to, they're working ways to control the amount of investors who come in just to build STR properties. So the committee is investigating a new option for rental permit eligibility, such as the owner must own the home with occupancy for at least 6 months, perhaps a year, before they can apply and be eligible for a rental permit. So currently the team is researching if there are other HOAs in Monroe County who already utilize such a thing, that you have to be in the house for so long before you ever can rent it, and what the applicability is within PA law. They did in this past month's meeting review and approve the new point of sale timeline that creates the rental registration fee. That's the $35 fee from earlier. Review within 15 days, and the owners would be considered no longer in good standing if not paid within 30. In that sense, the only other update is the STR committee is awaiting updates from both the finance on the dollar amounts, what should the fees be equal to, and if there are any process changes, as they're hoping to host their orientation. They always hold a mandatory orientation in November or December this year, in hopes that all of the new process will transition for January 1st. We tend to have been like months into the year settled, so the data notes is tied to the budget.
Okay, the next topic is actually Ski Hill. Ski Hill committee was what I used to do. The update for that is we actually have a road inspection scheduled for next Wednesday. And you may want to know that we need to do that first. And then once we get that done and passed, which we were greased it, we were in good shape, then the next step would be that we can go to the state to get the license to operate. And usually that's the item is the long pole that sometimes we're not ready and we don't even get the permit license until sometimes late December. So you're going to miss possibly an opportunity for skiing. So it's underway. We got it under control. There's some slight maintenance issues, but they'll be done in the next couple of days. I met with, by the way, with the Tommy Russell yesterday. So another meeting. So we're in good shape for that. And also, if you look at Almanac, this looks like it could be a banner winner. So it's looking pretty good. So we're working towards operational, I call it operational capabilities, probably in early December, Any questions? Yeah.
Have you decided to have employees to run the ski hill as it was years ago? And it was a lot more user-friendly. I know we had a lot more snow, but
yes.
Unfortunately, I personally volunteered 2 years ago, but we never had snow. But regardless, years ago we had Art Senior, we had Tommy, and they were here. They closed the place for 1 hour. They went for lunch. Have you guys considered, I know it costs money, but have you considered in order to make it more user-friendly to have employees to run it?
Yes, it actually, the manager right here, I think I don't foresee that being an issue this year.
Okay.
And we can evaluate as part of the budget process.
So, we have for this year's funds that are already in place, we have hired two full-time maintenance employees over the last 2 years. So all we need is maybe 40 to 50 hours. And that's for two FTEs is 4,000 hours. I'm not asking for that much, because we have a very good volunteer group. I'd like to see the volunteers get to ski this year instead of working. So, so to answer your question, I think we're in good shape.
But the issue with volunteer is, I personally, again, volunteer, I know how to run it. I will not do it because people get hurt. And I don't want to be sued later on that my son got hurt and I'm coming after you. But if you have employees that they have insurance, that problem gets resolved as well.
Yeah, actually, we're covered by that. If we're volunteers and we sign, we're covered. I looked into that.
Thank you.
So, because there's a lot of volunteers. Any other? Good? Yeah, all right. Yes, I'll recognize Rita Vitelli. I'll recognize Rita Vitelli. You wanted to mention something about the bake sale?
Oh, yes, thank you. I wanted to thank everyone that made it for the bake sale. So we raised $480 to go towards the kids' Halloween party, Halloween weekend. So it should be, I think that's going to be Saturday, the 25th. We're going to do the trunk or treat, stuff for the kids. So it's going to be a fun weekend.
So there's another event on the 25th, you said?
Yes, 25th of October.
About 25th of October. And if you want, you can come. People on Zoom won't be able to hear you back.
Oh, they can't hear me. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Newport. I just want to thank everybody that baked for the bake sale. With the 2 bake sales, we brought in $480, and all that money will be going towards the Halloween weekend. We're going to have a pumpkin carving contest. We're going to have the trunk or treat. For all those that don't want to participate in the trunk or treat and still want to do the whole fashion, trick or treating at their homes, that will be a time slot in there for that. And hope to end it with a DJ. So we're going to end October in a bang. And thank you everyone that contributed.
Make sure that all those people that donated and that volunteered on that, there's going to be a volunteer dinner. So make sure.
Well, we're hoping to do put a little bit more pizzazz into the instead of having a stuffed shirt dinner. I think it should be more of a party celebration, more like that. So instead of everybody sitting around, more of a mingle to meet each other than have a stuffed shirt dinner. But that's just my opinion. But thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Now we have strategic planning. Joe's not. You're going to do it.
All right, strategic planning committee met Wednesday night. We're doing some additional meetings. The committee, Arnie McGuire has requested to do some additional meetings. They're trying to do some aggressive catching up. Helen's been at a couple of them. There's been some discussion about many of the projects and topics that Joanne's already covered, so I won't get into it, but strategic planning is very aggressive and active right at the moment.
So now we're moving on into the new business. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the point of sale regarding the rental registration fee timeline.
I'll second that.
We got
Let's just say all. So the motion is to approve the financial policy related to the STR rental registration fee to a point of sale approach where it's due within 15 days of issuance and if not paid within 30 days, then it will turn good standing.
okay.
I mean, that's how much we're going to do. That's what what's written is how we should. This is the 15th of the month. Okay, so it's due by the 15th of the month or within 15 days of issuance?
I thought it was 15 days.
Yeah, okay, so that I should not use that type. So let's write it, say it again. The motion is to approve financial policy, point of sale approach for the STR rental registration fee. I don't think we need to say the dollar amount because that may change year to year. To be due within 15 days of issuance, and the owner may consider no longer in good faith, not the other third.
And I look at the tax bill, the professor paid out for basically, this goes back to that $35 fee we were talking about for STRs that was new this year that they kind of had to make a change in the middle of the year. And we started carrying out the fee, and then we didn't really have a good back-end policy for billing or when a person was delinquent. So now we're playing catch-up. The office has done a really great job of reporting the fee and figuring out when it needs to be posted, but now we need a back-end approach to say, hey, when does this fee due? When will we consider you not a member of good standing, and what will be our billing process moving forward? So this kind of clarifies that.
So we have a motion. Who seconded? So you did, Joanne, you did?
I did, yes.
So then there was discussion, and now after the vote.
Yes.
Yes, aye.
Aye. All unanimous.
So we can get the exact final wording once we have our minutes, and then we can incorporate that into the finance policy.
So the next item is a motion to, one motion to July Hughes to the next board meeting in September. So we get everybody on the speed on that. So there's some outstanding appeals that we're gonna delay them to get this new board in line. And so we'll entertain all of them on September 20th, 2025. So motion to delay, to table, let's just table again. Table?
I'm not.
Second there. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we have a motion to approve a variance located at 107 Cardinal Lane. We discussed this last night. Excuse me.
Can you please clarify what that variance is? Is that concerning the two lovely A-frames in the corner of Cardinal Lane?
We'll discuss it, you'll glean what it is. So that we're looking, in the board meeting, we do a motion, a second, and then we discuss the item, and then we vote. And during that discussion, most members of the community attending today will hear probably the answer to any of the questions. So for matter of protocol and procedure, that's how we do it. And then there is members' comments at the end, Manny. Okay.
Thank you.
So this is a motion to approve a variance that was submitted for 107 Cardinal Lane, and it was, so what? Huh? It's for death and encroaching on a setback. And we discussed it in the meeting last night. I'm looking for a motion.
I so move.
So,
I second.
okay, second. And the discussion now is that it's not, doesn't meet our standards, and that property is sort for me. So I would like to hear from anybody else.
Specifically, it is the A-frame now?
It is the A-frame. I like the pyramid description. The two pyramids, we call it on the property. So, the discussion is, anything else? Anybody else?
To me, the request was invalid, because you said, I'd like to make that bigger than 8 feet. There was no like guidelines of length, width, height, and so you could build it to.
Right, it was insufficient, it didn't pass muster with us, and, so, because like Frank just said, it said, 8 feet, I want a bigger deck than 8 feet, but it didn't say how much. He said he could go 60 feet, so, yeah, so I think the answer is,
Ask for a motion to approve or a motion to deny?
I look for a motion to deny it.
Well, we already did the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So then I guess we have to vote against.
So we just vote against it. So we discussed it, now we can vote.
Decline. No. I mean, you could say.
Is there any ayes? All say nay?
Yes.
Motion declining. So the next motion is going to be to approve a write-off for account number 1.
No, there's.
Oh my gosh. variance located at 346 Severn. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have the instructions?
Motion second discussion. I motion, someone second. Mike second. Okay.
So it's a garage permit.
The road variance is a shed.
They wrote the variance for a shed and the paperwork indicates it's a two-story. It's 18.6 and it's over our architectural restrictions. Folks, I can use the gavel, but I don't think it's necessary. So, we talked about it last night. Wasn't for discussion, any more discussion? We got a motion?
Yes. Read my secretary. I motion.
Yeah.
And Mike second.
So, is there any
Any
discussion?
further discussion?
A shed,
It was a shed and it
2
should,
stories, and over 18 feet, and I think was the over 9 feet.
Yeah, exceeded our, the dimensions that we would approve for a typical shed, and then when it gets to be above a certain footage, then it starts going into what we would consider a garage, and then different requirements. So this did not meet what we would consider our typical rules and regs for shed, so we decided to.
all right. So we're gonna vote for, who's for granting the variance? Nobody, anybody? So it's motion is denied.
Excuse me,
Are we not allowed to speak about it?
No defense?
We're not allowed to?
So for the garage,
It's a shed.
it's, yes, it's,
There's a shed just like it out another street, like 2 blocks from us. The exact same shed.
everything, label the address.
We took pictures, we brought it. It's the exact same shed made by the Amish.
You need a copy for every single member.
It's on White Pond. We have a picture of it. We can show you.
Mr. Chairman, I think that when we had a meeting last night, we said we would entertain the new business in the motion. And if it was denied, we were then going to respond back to the homeowners on why and what possible actions they can take going forward. So I think for what the members are bringing up now, isn't that what we discussed last night? That if the Russians were declined, we would forward information and guidance to them on how, if they wanted to resubmit.
there's another way to approach it.
Okay, because I never did this before.
Yeah, it's, there is one similar to that, and I know about the way.
It's the exact same one.
There's more than one. There's more. You got photos.
I'm aware of one.
And by the same, it's by the Amish. It's an Amish shed.
Yeah, and that was so that one was a garage, and they poured a floor in there. So that's how they got it approved. It was not a shed, because that's like a shed with
So can we call it a garage?
Yes.
So that's what we were gonna give you recommendations, don't come
We
in.
we wanted to get this, we've been trying to do this since like the middle of the winter.
got
All
all the
these
proper
permits, we
permits and everything?
paid all this money and we got the trees taken down already. You approved that.
We can get with Rob and the manager and resubmit that as a garage, and he'll guide you with what we can accept.
Could I make a suggestion that maybe after this meeting, if board members will stay for an extra 5 minutes, hear the homeowners directly, hear their information in your space. That way, if we want to make the vote offline between meetings, we can help to expedite that if we want to do something different.
That would
But I
be
think we're going to
wonderful.
deny it as a shed because it just feels like it's out of current standards for a shed.
Can I make a suggestion rather than deny it, because we just had a lot of confusion? Can we say we want to, like, what do you call it, rotation? Group chart like that, what do you say, we're getting more information, tell me. Defer, and we'll come back to the president, and then bring back up for discussion rather than deny it.
Well, we don't
have to go across.
Based on
Yeah,
last
we don't want to
night,
have
we-
to pay another variance and go back to all this paper.
No, you won't have to pay another. It's just a configuration. It's still alive, and we can work with it. That was from last night. We were just denying the variance as it is right now. But it goes back to you for a minute. We can come back and we'll wait.
So we defer election at the end of the day. We can always re-vote online, and we can ratify it at the next meeting.
You could do that, defer.
So I would like to say a comment. In defense of the resident, and I've gone through this process, and probably all of you have, we need to look at our own process, because as you can see, there was a lot of confusion on, like, what do we do, how do we get your input, whether we should deny, what our process is. So I think, like this year, one of our focuses should be, when we do process improvements, is this process. It comes down not just to approve, deny, or reject, that there's some process where the resident is informed before the board meeting, and if they have concerns or whatever, we have a process for them to present it, so that if we don't have this kind of information, doesn't scare you up and feel like you have to present a case, and then we're not sure if we should hear it before the public hearing. So we can try to tie that up.
Yeah, well, this board is, in the past, I've seen things that were wrong, and we're trying to be more friendly to folks in the processes, so they don't get fines or hit with more fees and denied and all. So, to me, we're all neighbors, and, we all want to improve our homes, but I think, but we have these rules and regs, and that's the kind of, we have to live by them too. So, we'll defer this, we're going to defer it, and then we're going to talk about it, and we'll get back to you with the event. Okay, now it's the right. Motion to approve the write-off for account 1022537. And the amount is $9,674.
This one we're also going to defer because the way that was presented to the workshop last night did not include that write-off information, so this one needs to defer.
Put that in. Motion for a write-off for account number 100844814, amount of $5,820. The payment plan was met, and this is satisfied in the amount of $11,392.70. So that we're to clear the account with $5,820. Have a motion?
I'll second.
Discussion. So, we need to change our process. We've had a process because we had a lot of delinquencies, and because we had to try to get ourselves in order as well as get residents to be more compliant. We've taken a lenient approach on fees for delinquencies and payment plans, which technically is incorrect. This is not a good process. For the year 2026, moving forward, we're going to get out of the business of writing off fees for payment plans and delinquencies in fairness to people who pay on time and timely. By law, these are statutory requirements that we can collect. If you were dealing with another agency, township, your city, your feds, the process wouldn't be to write off fees when you became compliant. So, in conjunction with the finance committee and the folks that we have on the budget team, we're going to come up with a policy for payment plans, right? That have a start and end date. You have to have a certain amount of months or whatnot paid off, whatever the collection statute is. So we only have 3 years to collect, and you have a balance due. It would have to be divided over 36 months, or if we want people on multi-year payment plans, if we limit to 12. So you'll hear more from us about what's going to happen with those who have payment plans and delinquencies, and more about what our collection process will be. We moved from no collection to a really good job by the office with 30, 60, 90-day letters, and moving some residents into a leaner collection process. As we were learning, it was a learning curve. Moving forward, we want a more consistent process. So that process would be, you don't pay your dues, you get a 30-day letter. You get a 60, a 90. At that point, now you're onesie, twosie, going to with the attorney. The more efficient process would be at 90, what's the next process? 120, do we refer to a collection agency, or do we go right to statutory lien at the township to protect our interests while we're moving forward to collect the debt from the resident? That's where we're going. Stay tuned, because it all has to be worked out, but we can't continue to operate under the process that we have right now.
Okay, so looking for, so I'm gonna look for,
Motion, second, discussion, elsewhere.
okay, all in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Yeah. So, Frank's no.
I said yes, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And I abstain.
Three abstaining. Well, it's not, the reason I'm sitting, the reason why you're abstaining, I need.
I don't fully understand what's going on with this, and it's something I would like to understand more.
Okay. Okay.
I
see one.
Okay, let's do the
You
yeses,
said
we'll
no.
do the yeses just so I can count to make sure what we give this. The yeses was Karen.
I say yes, even though I don't agree with the process, because we're changing it, but it's still yes.
I'm we only got 4
Yes, yes, based on what's going on right now, moving forward, you definitely need to look at this. As you mentioned.
White wasn't part of the discussion, I'm just saying, you might want to abstain.
That's why, that's his reason.
I need more information.
Yeah, he wasn't there last night, so.
So, and you're no, I hear you.
I was in there too.
So the yeses are Joanne, Karen.
I mean, we already had an agreement, so moving forward, which you guys want, you can't go backwards. It's already been an agreement, I don't know whether you
Pat, you're a abstain.
Yeah, 2 abstains.
Okay, great. So then we have 6 yeses, 2 abstains, and 1
And that's a good indicator for the board. Not always unanimous.
And I mean, I'm also yes, we've been saying we need to address our policy, so I don't think that the individual yeses are not against changing.
Okay, so now we're gonna go with the motion to approve a hot tub located at 110 Wagner Way.
I'll motion it.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
When you get out of approving the hot tub, business, change the rules.
So all the, I know we said this, like, also, here's all the requirements for the project,
Yes.
and then will be checked afterwards.
And, okay, so, any more discussion? All in favor? You want one?
Can I ask a quick question about that one? Only because of what I'm reading in some of the notes. There was an incident on one of the incident reports at the 100 block of Wagner Way. It doesn't give the exact address, right? And then this is at 110. Is that the same house?
I don't know.
I'm just asking because it seems, I'm kind of concerned that there was an overdose and arrest at that house, and then you're approving something else at a house that just had a big incident.
I don't know if they could disclose that.
I don't know, I'm just asking because it seems to me like there's,
Kyle shaking his head and we can't get into that.
well, I'm, for me, that's a
I
concern.
guess maybe is your question more, if you get a hot tub, I mean.
Well, I think that there was just a large incident, 2 people were arrested, there was a drug overdose, and are we approving more things to, like a hot tub at that house, that's a rental, and it just had a big incident? I'm just asking the question.
No, that's fair.
That's fair.
So that's not like.
I don't know if it is, I'm just, because it says 100 block of Wagner Way. It could be, it couldn't be,
Can we just
it's
put a
just a
condition on
question.
our, can we put a condition on our motion if it does overlap the address, we'll take further?
I don't know.
But how would you?
So that's another process probably. I don't know if we can take, I don't know if we take a comprehensive view of a person.
It's a separate matter, isn't it?
It's a separate matter, but it's concerning as a resident that there was just a large incident there, and then they're adding more potential incidents at the same location. I don't know.
Rob, do you want to give?
I'm just asking.
To that incident, I don't know this related to this house.
It may not be.
But Rob, I do think that maybe we could give an update on, that owner did receive fines and addressed all those issues. So if you want to say that, because so people don't perceive nothing happening.
There was an incident and it was addressed immediately. The homeowner was contacted, advised of all the situation. They did receive penalties revolving it. I can't get into the specifics, but they were addressed. They were very proactive immediately. There There's no-
That's good.
No hesitation whatsoever on that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just challenging it because it seems similar location, that's all. Just asking a question.
Not that it's relevant, but unfortunately, we have no ability to vet any of the renters coming in or any of
No, I
the
know.
renters for the people, so
But-
whoever comes in, we just have to deal with it.
Do you believe the business in?
I have to go back.
So we don't know.
I know you don't, I'm just
have to-
asking it
Important firm.
as thinking about
Thank
it.
you for bringing it to our attention. Alright, so we're at, we already put that in.
We did Brett Line, 109 Rising Sun.
And we're on motion to approve hot tub located at 109 Pleasant Sun. So we have a motion.
Was the Wagner one?
Second is Karen. And any discussion?
Same question I was, he was mad, and we met.
Yes. So, all in favor? Aye. And then one abstains. And then the last one is motion to approve a sauna located at, what's this thing? That's the Rainbow Sauna too. Motion to approve a sauna located at 197 Present Sun.
Motion.
Do we have a second? Second, Tom Travia. Discussion, same item. Okay. And, all in favor? One abstaining. Okay, we did it. Now we're on.
Very good.
Tough. Members' comments. So, anybody? Carrie Cole.
Yes, we got one of these recreational vehicle safety papers, and I noticed on here it says golf carts, ATVs, UTVs, and snowmobiles. But there is a new trend going on now called electric bikes. And they can move very quickly, and they sail down Cottontail constantly. I really think they need to be added onto this because renters can bring them in, and there's no restriction saying they can't.
I agree.
I think we need to get that rule directions to be updated on that. So why don't we add that as an action? Is it, what is it? I just so yes, I think we should.
Yeah, educational wattage.
Just to add to that, Carrie, CAI is also looking into legislation on it also for communities, private communities, HOAs, POs.
I'd just like to clarify, bikes and all these other types of vehicles are subject to the same speed limits as anything. So if they're going 26 miles an hour, they're
Good. Sue D.
But lately, we've been hearing reports about benches being thrown into the lakes. The rock stake was destroyed, signs are missing, and I noticed there was, a letter went out that 26 cameras are non-functional. Is this going to be addressed? I mean, were any of the cameras that were non-functional at these locations that we would have been able to find the people?
We had a package together for that, and it was, I'm gonna say, I think it was, we tabled it, or we haven't voted on it again, but it was very robust. I mean, there was security cameras that were based on national security, and hard drives were very expensive. So, I think it was overkill. And we were gonna go look at it, but we had a transition, we decided not to take any action until
It was deferred.
deferred.
It's been deferred 2 months in a row, until the new board was seated.
So when is it?
So I'm currently reviewing the reserve and capital projects, and we can review it as part of that. But can I say one thing? Kyle's in the back, and he actually would be the person who responded. Do you know the answer to this question? Were there functioning cameras at the, Sue, say the question to Kyle. So
The locations that it happened, the gazebo, and I guess the vendor, no.
Cameras that filmed the lake.
Okay.
And bench incident was on the dam. That locust weather is also.
Okay.
So that's no cameras, or they broken?
At the location that she has mentioned, he was moving.
So there's no cameras, they're not
Okay.
broken.
So not programming, there's just no cameras there. But still, the statements on the security systems is still deferred. It was too, concern was it was too expensive.
Oh, I know.
And Manning,
Question, it might exist and I don't know of, is there a board email that currently exists? If it does not exist, may I recommend to start a board email that owners, they send their comments, complaint, concern, and the entire board sees it rather than one-off, which I believe that's how the system is right now. If it's a finance question, the finance committee will answer. If it's recreate whoever. I know the manager has one, but I don't see anything just for board, and I strongly recommend you do that rather than one-off.
I think that's a great idea, because we're at 9, I like that better.
I mean, one thing that we've talked about in the past, you know, there is a board of director forum we agree on town square, so there's ways that we could do that as well, that only need visible board members. I think we could do a group one, you know, in the past, we just put all 9 board members' emails, which is a lot.
It's a good process.
But the town square becomes really one-off again. That's the issue with town.
You already do it?
In relation to that, any homework going forward, me an email, send me the email. If they go to the board, if it's a board-related one, I forward it directly to the board.
I understand that, but I have seen situations that board members have been approached and complained one-off. I think I'm trying to say that that is not the right practice. You should have a complete email for the board, only goes to the board, the owner send it to the board, town square is one-off, chasing a board member at the Locust Lake is one-off, sending an email to you is one-off. I think the entire board should see the complaint and the appropriate board member will respond to it, and the entire board sees the response.
Right. Isn't there?
Our personal emails, but what he's saying is.
But he's saying we wanted, we would all be copying on everybody, so he wants to.
If I
Like
send
board-
an email,
like
if I send the email, for instance, I say, guys, the ski hill, you need to do this, or whatever it might be, or I need to see what's going on here, or any owner, that should go to all the board members, and one board member. I don't want to go to the manager, I'm sorry, it has nothing to do with you, it shouldn't go to the office, board members should respond to it. That's all I'm asking, and every HOA that I have been member, the boards have had their own email. It's very easy.
So we have, just for everyone, we have our own personal emails that we're using, but I think we should have LLB emails.
It should be board LLB board dot whatever, and
Yeah, share, so that you guys can, any of us can be contacted, but not person. I think we need to do that.
But in general, what you're talking about, to take it a step further, people have said, what's our process for like, people who have maintenance or issues and how they try to get, how are we aware, like, of a ticking clock or an aging system? So we should take a look at his suggestion and look at it and.
I've tasked, so we've tasked, and we got Rob, our managers, and looking at this request, and it's going to be reported back at the next meeting.
that's fine, no problem. And then, I mean, if I may recommend, the board members only have access to it with the passcodes. You guys figure out who responds to it. But I think, I'm trying to make your life easy. You will not be chased at Locust Lake or anywhere else until ask any question. Thank you.
We don't want to get chased.
But you do, regardless.
If I could add something, Tom and I just had a little discussion about this. Email is really not an effective way, as we all know, to keep track of what's going on. We need a database system like Town Square, where it's like a help desk ticket, where there's responsibility assigned, and then you say, Mr. Manning, the resolution is this, this, and this, and we close the ticket or whatever. So we need better control than email. Email just goes on and on forever.
It depends on what you're doing though. Email is a great evidentiary trail if it's something that would end up with litigation.
But there's we have the database software in Town Square that is evidentiary. So we would have the whole record right there. If it were set up, go Tom.
There currently is a system to report a member, if they want to report any concern. There is a scroll window on Town Square if you're on your phone, or pull down if you're on the website. And I think the concerns that we've addressed in the past, that now is kind of cycling around, let's reevaluate that process, because at one point, one of the options was selecting board. And then at one point, it was taken off and it said go through the chain of command, like chair or manager, then be redirected to the board. So it's a process to what we said, we need to relook at that, refine it, come up with what is the best option, and then we'll report back next month.
Shannon, can you help us here, because do most of those go to you, because when I write something on South Square as a resident, you guys do respond to me. If we select maintenance, security, whatever,
Maintenance answers, if the category is on the maintenance would answer. If it's a security one, it will go to security, and if it's just general, I usually put it to the department that it needs to be addressed with.
okay, so we have to reevaluate.
How about rec, to whom does that go?
Rec?
Yeah.
Well, it will go to Catherine.
My understanding was that we could make a similar so that is where staff needs, you're looking for something operational, and you put it in that way, it either auto goes to the right department or agenda boards to the right department. We're talking about creating a separate form specific for board director concerns, questions.
Exactly. Well, while we
That would be
tackle
used very
that-
similarly in that manner, but I think it's a great idea, we just need to do some research and figure out the best plan for development.
Any other member comments? Hey, Fran?
Could someone please explain how two residents, and they're doing good work, were able to establish a business within this community and make revenue at the expense of others? I'm talking about the two snack shacks. Isn't it against our rules that residents cannot establish a business? They even have signs.
But from home, it's from their homes. They can't operate, it's against our rules. And to operate any business at your home, I think there's some exceptions.
Stop for that for a second, because the covenant has instances that are specific, and that's a question for the lawyer. But Fran, vendor services, vendors have operated at the junction for years.
Yeah, but they are not residents, that's my point. It's in the rules or it's in the bylaws that you cannot have a business within, you can maybe do it in the home, but you can't have it physically on the property. And here we have two businesses on the property generating revenue at the expense of us.
So we have some clarification, because there is something in the declaration and covenant that's specific to business, but not worded the way you're saying it. And there's something in our rules and regs also not worded the way you're saying it. Can we take this under consideration when in September, we're gonna do a complete overview of the covenant, articles, and bylaw, and also get our lawyer's opinion, and we get back to you guys in October? Because a lot of this needs clarification.
We're looking into it right now. And I know we have to look into it.
But I can't read what's in the rules and regs right now. What's in the first rules and regs under page 12D, I don't know what section this is. The D section on page 12 was for home-based businesses. The use or occupation of a portion of the primary dwelling units as an office, studio, or workroom for purposes of running a business or producing income or profit by one or more persons residing in the dwelling unit is deemed to be a home-based business. The use must be accessory and secondary and must not alter the exterior of the property or affect the residential character of the neighborhood by introduction of noise, fumes, noxious odors, increased traffic, or other nuisances. Lawn repair, it goes into another section on lawnmower repairs, things of that nature would be an outside business. So really, it's only giving guidance and direction on businesses that would be included within a home space.
So it's the homeowner lots, it's referred to the lots, but I'm gonna look into it further.
I mean, I could open up a soft ice cream place right on the lot next to us.
Right.
And that's okay, huh?
No.
Yeah,
it's
can I
not.
Thank
say
you.
something? I think that the businesses have been wonderful for our community.
I'm
And
not
nobody-
disputing that. I'm disputing the fact that they're making money off of us.
No, they're not. They're bringing it, what difference does it make if Junction made the money off of us or
They're
they
not
made-
residents.
So what?
It's a big difference. You're not permitted to have a business here.
I think it's wonderful and I think the people really enjoy it.
Thank you for commenting.
All right, thank you, Wade.
Can we have the agenda posted at some point prior to the meeting? I don't know who, I don't think it was on last night. I asked last night on the website. Okay. I mean, I get it, like you guys are doing this, but every time it's like Friday at 6. I'm not holding you, but it has been like very late. And like I drive up to come, and if there's something that is important, I will 100% drive up and come. But if I find out at 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock on a Friday night, it's
We were busy here.
I would just appreciate it.
Yeah, it should be a standard routine.
I mean, even if it's, I get you guys meet on Friday night, I get it, but I would assume you kind of know what
I
I'm
agree
talking
with you,
about.
we'll take it under advisement to bring back, because at one point we did make a commitment and initiative to say if we're having a Saturday board meeting by Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
It was out
the latest,
early in the week,
The public needs to know what's going on so they can decide whether they want to come or not, whether to attend virtually, and I agree with you, we can't keep, there's been a lot of things that keep delayed, but you can't just keep picking that as your business operators. We need to have advanced planning, and we need to give the public advance notice, and we will work on that as a board.
Yeah. We'll get there, I promise. All right, and that's it for member comments. I'm going to go into the director's comments. Are you, Tom? Sure.
Thank you all for attending online and attending in person. Looks like a beautiful day. I'll keep it short, so we're going to go out and enjoy it.
I just want to thank everybody for the support during the election, and we'll do my best to, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming out here that showed up today, and also all your support online and voting. I'm going to do my best to serve the community as best as I possibly can. Thank you.
What they said.
Go Coast Guard.
I'm next. Oh. Okay, thank you for the support in electing me to the board. My campaign was about being more inclusive to the community, to see fewer fines, to see more fairness, that, one group is not advantaged over the other, and I'm going to do my darndest to make sure that things are run correctly here, so thank you very much.
I'm going to also say thank you for coming out. I appreciate all these suggestions that we get on how we can do business better, because we know that we can do business better. It's just, you got to give us a little time to work together as a new team to evaluate processes and get back to you. I'm really happy that we have 5 new fresh set of faces up here, you know what I mean, that are open to transparency and working with the community. At what we're moving forward for the budget process and the treasurer, you're going to get full transparency in reports that I give you. So if next month I tee up that we may need financing for a particular project, say it's infrastructure or whatnot, and there are reports to support it, like you have a report from the DEP or an engineering report, we'll be sharing that with the community so that you have the back-end information that we have. And I will also try to find a way that we can store it and share it for you on Times Square or the website. One thing that I would like to hear from the community is when you have process suggestions like this, then how you want us to evaluate them and carry it out. We don't have a committee. We have a lot of committees, but internal processes, we don't really have a way other than pushing down to the manager or the board to evaluate these processes and give the community what they want. So maybe we should take, when we have suggestions like that, evaluate by residents and board or staff to try to figure out how to roll out the policy. I just want this, we don't want this as an opportunity.
Thank you everybody for coming out today, appreciate it, and I want to welcome all the new board members and our returning ex-board chair. And I just want to say everybody go out there and have a great day, and our new team is going to work extremely hard to turn everything around and make this a greater LLD.
Thanks for the confidence in voting for me for another year. I'm really excited to work with this group and this team, and I think we're going to make some great progress this year.
I didn't, and earlier in the agenda, I was supposed to have chair's comments, and I really didn't speak to anything, because I wanted to take it now as a party motion. Everybody, I always used to say this whenever I got out there, we're all neighbors. And my goal is to make it a friendlier place and to address a lot of these issues that we have around here. And hopefully everybody will get a little better. I want to be friendlier to our people that put in requests instead of just shooting down and not telling anybody. I want to help everybody. We're going to still be a good, we're going to still enforce rules, and we're going to move forward. I want to say, another thing about this election, everybody's, you can look at the rankings, how it all, the top three were all brand new guys, new faces. Congratulations again. But look what it did. It shows that the community wants a new face, and you're going to get it. And I was going to say, I wanted to leave Lori Bluff, so I'm not going to mention that. But I want to say that I'm open for any comments you guys got. Email me, call me, ask Rob. We want to be responsive. So, and as a board, and this is what I'm really, and I've been saying, we're board of 9. It's not going to be 2 people running it. It's board of 9, and that's what it's going to be.